One, two, three.
I was thinking about when I was thinking about this interview about when we first met, and we were both in the midst of applying to grad school. Since like that time, before grad school, and post-grad school, like what's the thing that you feel has kept you motivated to make work?
The motivation's always the same. Depending on your situation, it's harder to make the time and space to kind of sit with what you want to be doing. Because for me in my work, it's always about my life. So for when I have to be living in order to make work. That was one challenge of being in school, I think, because you were removed from it, and suddenly you're in a community with a bunch of artists in an academic institution. I think in part that's why I wound up doing the 2 projects about my family while I was there, because I had somewhere to go, and that was obviously very immediate. I guess that's part of it. Like every project I've done has kind of felt like something I've had to do or something I've had to work through or had to process, because my work has always been really cathartic for me. But the motivation isn't the hard part. It's making the space for it. You know, now it's a very different time. Coming out of 2 years of having so much space and time to make work, and then coming out and, you know, being back in New York and having to hustle again. I just sometimes wish I had more time and a lot more money.
Yeah.
A lot more money.
The balance between like work and life can be very taxing. Going back to your Tower of Things with your mom who worked for Trump for 20 years.
Yeah.
And about that relationship. Also, you did a project Thicker Than Water which was mostly based around your relationship with your father.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, because your work is very intimate and the subjects that you're dealing with and the themes that you're talking about are very intimate and vulnerable, and how do the people you're working with, like your family and loved ones, what is that dynamic like?
Photography and video is great because you actually have to physically be in the space. I physically had to be in that space. I had to go back to my home, and that's hugely affecting. Dealing with that reality and being a human in that space while making art there, it's an incredible mess. And then you have your pictures, like you have your little picture that takes from the mess, and it's a controlled world. It's a place for you to slow things down, look at things, process them. You have so much agency in your art making that you don't in the real world, you know? So much of what it's about is what's not in the pictures, too. And I always try to make space for that, especially with the work with my family, because it's a very complicated thing. The story, the world that exists in the pictures is not the one that exists in reality. It's like you kind of are taking that material, and you know that it's there, and you're leaving so much of it out, but you just have to have faith that people are going to get enough of a sense of these secrets or what's outside of the picture. Those decisions to like omit or obscure or blur is what makes the aesthetic in a lot of ways, but also makes it okay for me to make the work public, make it public. I mean, there's so much work that I make that I don't show. Actually, that kind of control and ability to translate something as an artist is really empowering, and I think makes you feel in control of your own life and your own stories in a way that you're not. And so especially dealing with like very complicated things like family and masculinity and gender, it's nice to be able to have a space to make a world your own. It's been hard, but when you asked before about motivation, like that, I've always been motivated to work with the things that are hard. I feel like that's always a good indication to me that that's where the work should be done.
Right. What were the highs and lows of like grad school?
You know on Halloween when you buy those spider webs in a bag and then you spread them out and you wrap them around trees and stuff? That's what I'm doing right now in my head with the experience of grad school. I'm like, oh my God, there's so much here. So I guess I could have I'm slowing it down now. We always have deadlines. We're always working quickly, and I think that I'm just trying to develop more confidence around changing my mind.
In critique and stuff, becoming confident in like this, what you present, even if you're not totally like sure about what you're doing. Defending your work is like a really important thing, which you need to like be firm in what you're making and what you believe in for your work, because otherwise I got caught up in what everyone was saying, and it was really bad for me mentally and for my work.
I think boundaries are the best thing.
Yeah.
Not just in your work, but in your life. And all of it. Part of Yale was kind of learning how to be an artist in public and artist in private. Mm-hmm. You can't, of course, everyone has doubts. Like everyone's quite, we all are kind of figuring out why we're doing what we're doing. And, sometimes you have days where you're like, why am I doing this? So, it's just like there's those doubts, those questions, everyone has that, but you have to you can't open that up to everyone to pick at.
This is something that I am like always struggling with, and I think all artists, like what you do when you're in a place with your work where you don't know what to do, like when you're in a creative rut.
For me, it's like taking classes, and I think stopping.
I feel like it's hard to allow yourself to do that, where you're like, it's okay if I'm like not making a photo or I'm not making work right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to museums or I'm reading books or like something that can help you in your practice, but you don't need to be like literally doing it. Yeah.
It's not just the pictures, it's like everything around.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to look at any art. I'll like put myself in situations where I don't have to talk about being an artist. Before I went to school, there were a bunch of people that didn't even know I was a photographer. So I like reserving space for myself to not have to think about being an artist all the time, or like worrying about my work, or it's good to just make some space for yourself.
Yeah, I really appreciate your comfort in being in that space and like accepting it. So at the end of each interview, we do fuck, marry, kill.
Oh wow, cool.
And okay, fuck, marry, kill. Cindy Sherman, Edward Weston, and Larry Sultan.
Who's the richest?
Cindy, for sure.
So I'd marry Cindy Sherman.
You got that
Sugar
cushy
mama.
lifestyle, yes.
But I might have to kill Edward Weston. Then I'd have to fuck Larry Sultan.
Yeah.
No, I'm still gonna marry for the money. Yeah, that's what I do.
I think that's a good plan. Cindy Sherman is definitely the one to wife.
Wifey.
Yeah, wifey.
Made the decision, just gotta live with it.
Yeah.
Live with it.
Yeah, no,
I can't think too much about the fucking Larry Sultan.